Background-wise, I started in HR. I was actually a HR advisor, did some generalist work, and then I was in a role where I was doing a bit of HR and recruitment, and I loved recruitment. Like, I just fell in love with that side of the role, and I said to myself, this is what I want to do. I wanted to expand myself within the TA space, and that's pretty much what I've been doing for the last 8, 9 years now. And I wanted to, I saw so much potential in the TA space. I wanted to learn all about it. I also wanted to change a lot of aspects of the industry as well, which I thought was either not working well or a bit broken. And yeah, I've been in TA since. So in terms of current role, I am leading all of the recruitment across Asia Pacific for a company called Catapult Sports. So they're a wearable sports technology company that sort of cater to more of your elite professionals and athletes, and global sporting teams as well. So they're growing quite fast globally, and I'm part of a team that's helping them scale through that growth, looking at defining their TA function, their processes, how they attract talent, their branding, and also supporting hiring managers to educate them in how to find the best talent that they need as well. So that's where I am today. Looking back now, I've actually been through quite a few different sort of career path or sprints throughout my life. Not a lot of people know this, but I actually started off studying and I wanted to be a medicinal chemist. So that's what I was doing pretty much through all of high school, through early years of uni. That's kind of what I was set on doing, working in a lab. And then sort of halfway through uni, I figured out, like, this is not what I want to be doing at all. I want to work with people. I don't want to be in a lab all day long. I fell into sort of the business and aspect of things. I started studying HR. And then I did, obviously, I mentioned before, I did a sprint in HR and then TA. And then when I was going on my first mat leave, my husband and I actually started a coffee roasting business together. So there was a bit of a sprint where I was, running a coffee roasting business. We grew that. We expanded it into a cafe. We were running that for a couple of years, just the two of us, learning a lot about, the different aspects of sales development, BD, how to run a business, how to run a business with my husband as well. So there was a lot of that in the early years. And then we kind of got to a point where we were both like, look, this is not something that we want to keep doing long term. It was great. We learned a lot about ourselves. We learned a lot about, we developed a lot of ourselves within the skill set as well. And I wanted to head back into TA. He wanted to head back into his line of work as well. And we kind of, fell back into our career pathways that way. So had a lot of twists and turns throughout the years, but I feel like that's all shaped me for the better today, and the way that I view my skill sets and strengths, they've all been shaped by my experiences throughout the years. Best advice, I think, in terms of what one of my previous managers told me was work for what you're passionate about. So they basically gave me a quote from, I think it was T.S. Eliot, that's kind of stuck with me throughout the years, is if you don't push the boundaries, you'll never know where they are. And she always said, look, push as much as you can. That's how you learn, that's how you grow, as well, especially being females within a organization. You need to push more. You need to find where those boundaries are and keep pushing at it, because we won't be able to change anything down the track without that. So that's always stuck with me. In terms of worst career advice, I wouldn't say this is the worst, but this is probably, and I think it's kind of come down to what they knew, but, in terms of previous generations and what they understood about working culture, it was very much study, get good grades, and work for a company for years. There was never a thing about, if I change jobs, for example, my parents would be like, oh, why did you change your job? It was a really good job. Why did you leave the company? You were doing so well. But I think there wasn't that push of, you need to be for yourself to learn. There wasn't a lot of focus on that, self-development or self-growth. It was just get really good grades and go work for a company. And that's all it was about. Whereas I think over the years, I've learned a lot more about entrepreneurship, finding the right fit for you. And it's not always about you working for a company anymore. It's what can you also gain from an organization or a company. That it's a two-way street, and I think that's changed a lot over the years as well. And the power now sits with candidates more than it used to before. And like I said, I think that came down to a generational thing, and there's a lot of things that have changed nowadays that you can't use the same tactics that you did like 50 years ago. I wish I knew that there was a whole world of options out there. I think that's something that I've learned along the years, but no one was ever there to say, you're not stuck to one career path your whole life. Don't be afraid to try something new, or be confident in saying that you want to try something new, like taking risks. That was, I think that's something that if I could go back and tell my younger self, I would be like, take a risk, try something new. This is not, just because you're studying something now, or just because you're in a career, it doesn't mean you're going to be in this career for your whole life. There's always something that's going to change. And I think that's something that I've learned along the way and have tried and proven to myself as well, is something it's, I feel like that's definitely something that I've learned along the way. Out of pure transparency, obviously we don't learn unless we've done something wrong and learnt on the back of that. But I think one of my biggest ones would be not voicing my concerns about salary earlier on. Like, this is earlier on in my career. There was a point where I think I was recruiting for roles that were actually being paid more than I was. Like, so for example, I was actually hiring for, at one point, receptionist roles that were being paid more than me. And instead of voicing it, instead of raising those concerns, I kind of took the easy way out and just changed jobs. And obviously I've learned a lot since then, and I've been mentored and advised by people to stand up a bit more, be more confident in asking for salaries, and be more confident in asking for what I think I'm worth as well. And I've been able to then emulate that across to other females that I've come across within the industries. But yeah, that's probably something that I should have done earlier on, but I didn't really do. In terms of key to my success, I definitely think or attribute all of my successes to my support network around me. So my colleagues in the TA industry, as well as my partner, they've given me a sheer amount of support, advice, and mentorship over the years. And that's, I think, brought me a bit more confidence to where I am today as well. So as a collective, they've pushed me to do things outside of my comfort zone, to be more assertive, like I said, in voicing my opinions and taking risks. So I wouldn't be where I am today without having that sort of push and shove as well. And I definitely attribute that whole team effort to being a key part of my success today.